Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
It was around lunchtime as they walked along the street in the New York borough of Queens. Then a 55-year-old imam and his assistant were approached from behind and shot in the head. Mulama Akanji and his friend Tara Udin both died as the attacker ran off. Police say they're still investigating the motive, but locals have branded it a hate crime. Our senior Home Affairs correspondent Simon Israel has this.
The numbered yellow markers are normally used to define where shell casings are found, and so the number of shots. At least 7 appear to have been fired at the imam and his friend, not long after they had finished prayers at this mosque on the edge of New York's Queens district. The community are horrified, and some lay the blame directly at the door of Donald Trump.
We live in an era where people running for the highest office in the land and potentially being the most powerful people in the world, espousing hate towards Muslims, even in their own country, even citizens of their own country. And that is unacceptable.
I am deeply saddened to say that a lot of what's behind this crime and other hate crimes that have happened to American Muslims is the anti-Muslim rhetoric.
The shooting was in broad daylight. The victims were identified as 55-year-old Mulama Akanji and Tara Udin, aged 64. Both were hit in the head and died later in hospital.
A family man have been lost, a scholarly imam have been lost, and we are devastated, and we want peace.
This artist's sketch of the suspect was released a few hours ago based on witness statements and CCTV.
They were approached from behind by what witnesses and video evidence shows: a male with a medium complexion, dark-colored polo-style shirt and shorts. Immediately after the victims were shot, the same male is seen fleeing from the scene southbound on 79th Street.
But police were cautious when asked about a motive.
There's nothing in the preliminary indication that would indicate that they were targeted because of their faith.
But his words have had little impact on community suspicions. Many see this pure and simple as a hate crime. So community engagement officers have been dispatched to reinforce the police message. But they are up against a fear of insecurity, a deep sense of mourning, and a demand for justice for the shooting of a beloved local imam who had arrived from Bangladesh only 2 years ago.
Well, I'm joined now from New York by Afaf Nasher from the Council on American-Islamic Relations. Why are so many New York Muslims so sure that this is a hate crime?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. It's very important for us to showcase what is happening in the United States. And the reason, just to answer your question, that so many people believe it's a hate crime is because Muslim Americans have been victimized throughout the entire nation, as well as New York City, in all facets of life. And this, of course, is the worst when you lose a life. But of course, we have been victimized as far as children in schools, as far as workplace discrimination in the streets. Our mosques have been vandalized. And so this instance is a case of broader discrimination and incidents that are happening at record levels since 9/11.
Well, why do you think they are at record levels? And do you have the facts to prove that assertion?
Yeah, so, you know, the best way to present facts is to assert facts that are not necessarily coming in from necessarily the Muslim American community or even from the Council on American-Islamic Relations. And there are studies out there, including the Bridge Report and various universities who have come out with statistics, who have done objective studies that show that number one, first is rise in the number of incidents have risen sharply, and number two, that many of those incidents occur around the same time that political rhetoric is being espoused, which heightens the level of hatred and toxins within the general environment.
Well, what do you think the relationship is then between the kind of rhetoric that we're seeing from Donald Trump and others that is clearly anti-Muslim, and a hate crime? I mean, you know, can you make a direct link?
So the link is one that emboldens people to act out. You know, in the United States, we cannot forget that we do have a long history of discrimination against various peoples and various races, and that is still something that this country is really trying to overcome. The focus, unfortunately, now is scapegoating Muslim Americans, which are people who have been a part of the American fabric for many, many, many years and generations, although New York in particular does have a high immigrant population. But the idea of political people, political hopefuls, who want to assume the highest role within the nation and possibly within the world, and then not be able to hold firmly to the ideals of justice and the ideals of equality and the ideals that and the principles that American values are known for around the world and shine as a beacon of hope for the entire world, and instead people choose to divide us and to espouse hate. That is not an American ideal, and we have to hold them accountable, because you know they have influence. They have influence over political circles, social circles, and then of course, you know, as a prominent leader for the nation and for the world, of course we have to hold them accountable and to higher standards. They have to have a higher level of responsibility.
Afaf Nasher, thank you very much indeed.